Olamma stared at Obianuju with a mixture of confusion and rage. How did she know of my plans, she thought. You heard me, Obianuju said. You wanted to kill me. Here I am so you can kill me. Olamma could not hold back her rage. She breathed heavily out of deep anger, and her form began to enlarge. Her eyes turned blood red. At this point, the ladies who walked with her stood beside her like the Amazon women warriors. The more she moved, the bigger and fiercer the ladies became. Multiple hands began to emerge from Olamma's back, transparent but definitely there. Obianuju did not stir. She simply sat still, said nothing, and just watched the scene unfolding before her. The doors and windows of the salon began closing on their own, and the lamps in the room flickered on without anyone lighting them. The terror within the saloon grew, and the roaring of Olamma, or the creature she had become, filled the air. At this point, Obianuju closed her eyes, muttered some words, and stomped her staff on the ground with great force. The room reverberated with the act, and the salon was suddenly veiled from the villagers who were beginning to gather outside due to the noise. The sound they heard was gone, and all they could see was the usual appearance of the salon when it was closed. I would like the whole village to watch what I do to you and for the story to be told for ages, Olamma roared. That's a great idea, Obianuju agreed. This response infuriated Olamma and her guards. It's just that the person who would die would be you and your minions. But if you insist on killing me, you will need a new tactic. You see, the villagers can neither see nor hear anything happening here. Olamma signaled her ladies to check and see if what Obianuju said was true. One of the ladies opened the window and looked out. The villagers were going about their business as usual. They overheard someone telling a lady that the priestess Hila visited Olamma, so she had to close early today. The trio turned to Obianuju. I know, right? That's really a good trick, Obianuju said. Olamma began changing back to her human form, and the huge warrior ladies beside her also deflated in size, and their fierceness vanished within a few minutes. As the last set of hands vanished from Olamma's back, she fell to the ground, exhausted and pale. What did you do to me? She asked Obianuju. Nothing. I just cut off the village from you. You have been using the energy of my people to fuel your evil forces. You were going to destroy Umuade by harnessing their life energies to grant you powers to fight me. How do you know all that? Olamma asked, her ladies beside her holding her up and doing their best to keep her steady. Obianuju ignored her question. Now we both know whose death this occasion would spell. Can you choose not to let that happen? She asked. One of the ladies beside Olamma stretched forth her hand towards Obianuju in anger. Obianuju looked at her and a bolt of fire shot from her eyes and surrounded the lady with a firewall. Spare her, please, Olamma pleaded. She is the only child of her mother and my best friend. But she was sent with you because she breeds death, Obianuju responded. This is my battle, not theirs. They are only helpers, Olamma explained. For me to grant your wish and spare your friend, you have to give me something in return, Obianuju said casually. Anything you ask for, Priestess, Olamma agreed. Early in the morning tomorrow, before sunrise, you shall come to see me at my shrine. Prepare yourself because you may encounter things you did not plan. But also remember that you promised to give me whatever I ask for. That's it? Olamma asked. No, my dear Akonna, or Olamma as they call you now. It is when you have arrived at my shrine that I will tell you what I want in return, Obianuju said and stood. Gods of Umuadi, let the energy flow, set the balance. With that, she stomped her staff 3 times and Olamma felt better. The fire around her friend died and the magical glamour over the salon lifted. Obianuju turned and headed for the door. What if I fail to come to see you in the morning? Olamma asked. Obianuju stopped on her path, turned, looked at Olamma and smiled. You would come, she said, and continued on her way. Early in the morning before sunrise, Olama heard her name echo loudly in her house. The voice was so loud that she jumped out of bed. Surprisingly, her husband was still sleeping soundly and did not do as much as stir in his place. Olama looked around but no one was in the house. She went back to bed and sat down. As she tried to relax, thinking it might just have been anxiety, after the event of the previous evening, the voice echoed again. Olama, 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 you should be on your way to the shrine. Her head began to hurt, and the voice refused to let up. Olama stood and ready to go to see the priestess healer as instructed. At the shrine, Obianuju sat facing a big pot of water. She stirred the water and Olama's face appeared. The sun must not touch you before you set your foot on the ground of the shrine. Run, she said. A few minutes later, Olama ran into the shrine. Stop right there, Obianuju commanded. Wash your hands and feet using the water in that pot. Then come sit with me. Olama did as she was told. Obianuju continued with the ritual she was performing, singing and praising the gods of the land. When she was done, she turned to Olama. Who are those figures that help you braid? And how long have they been with you? She asked. They are my helpers, Olama answered. They have been with me since I was a child. She went ahead to explain how she was given a gift after her parents and aunt died in a mysterious fire. Their spirits stayed with her and helped her with everything she did, providing multiple invisible hands, which accounts for her speed in everything she did. However, braiding being her trade, other spirits had been invited to help too. The spell is such that no one sees the other entities with her unless through a mirror when she is working. Obianuju listened intently as Olama narrated her story. When she was done, Obianuju asked the next question. How did you get the other spirits? Olama thought for a while and explained. My mother was barren for 10 years after she married. To have a child, she visited a seer and asked for the help of the gods. She was given water in a small clay pot to drink for 8 market days to help her conceive. She was grateful, but did not know she would pay a dire price for it. What do you mean? Obianuju nudged. The water she was given was from the forbidden river of Mpimpe. Obianuju nodded. She knew what that meant. The mother had not been given a child by the gods of Umuadi, but by the river goddess who requested a life for a life, and to keep your life, you have to renew it somehow, sometimes by blood, and at other times by robbing others of things they may not notice you are stealing. My mother and father died in a mysterious fire because they refused to sacrifice me to the goddess after they found out what the seer had done. So their spirit stayed to support me. The seer warned me that the day anyone saw the hands, I would be done. When you used the mirror in my salon years ago, they left me. But remaining with you meant endless restless existence for them, Obianuju said. I know, but my parents insisted that that was the only way for me to stay alive. If I released them, the river goddess would come for me. I never wanted to be cruel, neither did I mean to hurt or scare the people of Umuadi. So when I used the mirror in your shop years ago, albeit briefly, the tie was broken, Abianoju said. Yes, my priestess, Olama responded. Where did you go afterward? Abianoju asked. As predicted by my parents, the goddess sent the bleeders to pick me up at nightfall, and I was chained and tortured in the dark chamber under the waters of her kingdom. Olama responded. You should be dead. Why are you still alive and back in Umuadi? Obianoju probed further. I have to further my family, a promise I made to my parents. So when the goddess gave me the option of returning to Umuadi with a vengeance, and the advantage of being able to weave the spirits of her people into an unbreakable entanglement that will not only facilitate my hairdressing skills, but also give me supernatural powers to do many things, including destroying anyone I wish to. I took it. I knew confronting you would be tough. That is why the two ladies were sent as my helpers, Olama explained. And your husband? Obianuju asked. He is just an ignorant person who got caught in the web. While I was at Eleme recovering from the torture, he fell in love with me and asked me to marry him just before I returned to Umadi. I went along with it as a cover and as a means to fulfill my desire of bearing an heir to further my family bloodline.